Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup here at the Michigan Motor Speedway. Michigan, of course, one of the faster tracks on the calendar, a little bit of a D-shaped oval, so it can be a little bit tricky sometimes, and very high speeds as well. And joining me tonight, as ever, is on the cameras as well as in the commentary booth, Mr. JP. How you going, JP?
Pad
And
out for me.
just some issues on the commentary side for him. He's just having some technical issues, which is always the way things go. We've got to love technical issues. So we'll hopefully have JP back at some stage when we figure that out. But while we're getting ready for that, we've got qualifying happening. So we'll get JP back in the booth now.
Hello. I've got my technical issues sorted. How are you, Carl?
Not bad at all. Good to have you here. And well, we've got qualifying happening. So let's see how we're going with that. See where we're sitting with everybody, because obviously this is a time where it can make some difference now. And getting those times in is very important, as Edward Foster is currently on that fast lap now, going around. He's just started his first lap of the qualifying session. And obviously you're going to want to try and get a bit higher up on the grid here, because it is a very fast speedway. And you want to sort of avoid that mid to late pack section where you can get issues when people spin or have accidents. So Foster coming around the final corners now. We'll see how he goes as he pops a time up on the board in a couple of moments.
You go fastest?
You'd hope so. And returning face Kai Sloggett's just sort of sitting behind him at the moment. Josh Micklemore there as well. But this second lap's going to be the fast one. This is where the speed sort of comes in on this track. Generally, it's a sort of second lap is your fast lap track. So we'll see how that goes for everybody, because you have to be a bit careful, because sometimes you can overcook it on the first one, and that can cause some trouble. Barry Nail taking the top spot now. Jason Hartigan coming across now as well. And he's managed to pop it up into second place, with Danny G up there in first. So just keeping an eye. Edward Foster's finished that second run, and that's put him into third position. So he's going to be pretty happy with that, but that will be a little bit tricky, as it was his sort of second run that was the fastest, and there are a few people that setting some good first lap time runs out there, like Bradley Allison just getting a fantastic lap.
Yeah, he's put on an absolute blinder there.
We're seeing the lap times tumbling down the order as they go. But so far, Bradley Allison is up there. Jason Martin's just popped up into third position. Expect to see him climb a little bit higher. We've used to seeing those Mitchell Motorsport cars getting up there in their places as these qualifying sessions go on. They tend to be pretty good at the old qualification game, as well as the race pace game. Of course, Mitchell Motorsport has just rounded up the ANZCAR Truck Series. It looks like Martin's actually going to abandon that lap. Just rounded up the Truck Series with a 1-2-3 in the championship, with Martin, Danny G and Josh Micklemore in all three spots for the championship, so a fantastic job for them. Right now with Raymond Yeager, who has got some decent speed under him. We've seen him at a few races this season. He's been getting a little bit more and more speed and consistency under the belt, and having a very good season so far. We'll see where this lap puts him as he comes around the final corner.
Yeah, he's done 2 green sectors, so it'll be interesting to see where this lap winds up for him.
And that's got him into 17th position. So sort of mid-pack at the moment for him. Darren Brumfield as well out there, as well as Lachlan.
Lachlan's showing 2 green sectors here, but I'm not sure if he's going to be fast enough to get in touch with the pointy end of the field.
No, he might get him up a few positions, might help him out a bit, get out of that sort of final section. Um, I reckon we'll probably be looking sort of in the top 15, hopefully, for Lachlan this lap round. And of course, Lachlan Uruguay has been having a fantastic season so far, and he's been doing well, especially being this is his first season in the Cup cars as well, and that makes a bit of difference.
And unfortunately, he just didn't have enough time to finish that lap.
No, cut off there. Must have just been coming round, and that's cut off there. So Bradley Allison getting the top spot there. Really good lap from Bradley Allison there with 39.75. Just an awesome time there for Allison. So as we get ready for the race to go, we're going to quickly run through the standings for the championship. With that win last time out, Edward Foster's jumped to the top of the leaderboard in joint first place with Michael Skurlock, Danny G third, Josh Mickelmore fourth, Jason Martin 5th with Hamish Gallagher 6th. 7th is Norman Clark. 8th is Jason Hartigan. 9th is Stephen Williams. And Matt Hunter is back into 10th place with Raymond Yeager just hanging on to the top 11 spot, just trying to creep there into the top 10. So let's go through the grid now that we are all ready to go. So up on the front row of the grid we have Bradley Allison and Danny G. Second row is Jason Martin and Jason Hartigan. Third is Norman Clark and Hamish Gallagher. Fourth is Foster and Cale. Fifth is Bartlett and Williams. Sixth is Dortnack and Mickelmore. Seventh is Sloggett and Hunter. Eighth is Skurlock and Stove. Ninth is Patterson and Jaeger. 10th is Brumfield and Otto. 11th is Koch and Wilson and Koch, sorry. 12th, Roswell Hickey. 13th is Graham and Aidan Schultz. 15th is Lachlan with Jake Maloney, and at the back of the grid we have Michael Shaw. So quite a big field out there tonight as well. We've got 29 cars out on the actual track tonight, so that's going to be interesting to see how they all go.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting race. It's 100 laps, 200 miles. So, yep, lots of interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely, and it can really make a big difference. Just trying to get into that right place at the right time, and you just want to get the car at the front of the grid. But of course, that does mean you're going to be breaking the air for the rest of the pack. So that can make a bit of a difference there as well, because obviously breaking the air for the rest of the pack does mean that you're going to allow them to have some fuel saving time in them and things like that. So as we go round on the pace lap, getting ready to go for this one. Obviously, we've had a few short ovals, short tracks of recent, and a few different cars of racing as well. It's been a good end to the season as we are coming up towards the final few races of the standard season, you can say. But we've been seeing some really good shows out there, especially from the guys in Mitch Motorsport, and also, of course, the JP Simshed drivers have been doing a fantastic job for this first season.
Yeah, there's been some great racing up and down the whole field this season.
There has been indeed, and it's what we like to see in ANZCAR. Some really good racing going on. So, as we come around the final corner, we will sew our mouth shut so you can enjoy the sound of these amazing cars as they come across the start-finish line and get ready for the race here at Michigan. An absolutely ballistic start there for Danny G and Jason Hartigan as well, as he's coming down on the inside of Danny G right now to take that first spot from starting from 4th place, getting up into 1st position for Jason Hardigan. Brilliant start for him. A nice clean start as well down the field. Everybody getting away well and no trouble at all. So that's what we like to see, getting a good start there for sure. Danny G now just going down the inside of Hartigan, trying to get that position made, trying to get that 1st place position for this early stage of the race, of course.
What do you think the strategy would be here, Carl? Sit in behind the other car and save some fuel, or just try to get out in front and create a gap if you can?
Personally, for me, it would be just not fight too hard. Just try and find a good little position to sit in, save some fuel, save some of the tyres. Don't push too hard. Of course, one of the things is when you're leading, you don't lose as much aero, so your tyres tend to last a little bit better. Once you get down the pack, down in the back of the field, as you start losing those positions, start following cars, as we go 3 wide through turn number 4, you do start losing some of that tyre grip because you're starting to get a little bit of wash and the front just lifts off a little bit. But fuel is going to be an important thing here tonight. From what I've heard from drivers, the track is a little bit green. So getting that little bit of extra tyre handling might be a good thing. But you're probably going to want to try and save on fuel. If you can get a lap extra of fuel, it can be the difference between a race win and finishing halfway down the field if a caution comes out for you.
Absolutely, and as we saw...
And we've got a big incident at the back with Phil Otto and Aiden... I think it was Aiden Schultz there. Just going through. Schultz has just come up and gone into Otto, and a big crash down at the back there. The caution hasn't come out, but some serious damage to those cars.
Yeah, they're going to find it very difficult to make their way through the field at this stage of the race with the damage that they've got on their cars now.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard, and that's one of the other things as well on a track like this, is you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to get damaged because the aero is very important here. If you start having little nicks against the wall, if you start tapping the wall a little bit, if you tap another competitor and do damage to the front of the car, you're going to lose quite a bit of time due to the aero just falling off the car. Because, of course, you need these cars to be nice and slippery as it goes through the air. As soon as you have a bit that's not quite the right shape, it does make a big difference to the handling and can mean you can lose up to about 3 to 5 kilometers per hour down the straights, which is an enormous amount in this style of racing.
Absolutely.
As we see Jason Martin battling it out down the inside.
Yeah, Jason Hardigan's working hard to maintain that lead, but Jason Martin and Danny G are just all over him, and Danny G's going to the inside. They're looking to make a move. And
Danny G sitting in a good spot at the moment. He's going to get a little bit of help from Allison just sitting back there. He's going to get a little bit of a car underneath him as well, so it's going to help him position so Hartigan can't come and duck down in front of him. However, it looks like the outside line seems to be working very well tonight, so that inside line seems a little bit loose, a little bit sketchy. We've seen a few cars just looking like they're losing a little bit of grip through there, although that time Danny G has just planted it perfectly, got in front of Hartigan, and that's going to be a position gained.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the while, Ed Foster's come up behind his teammate, Jason Hardigan there, and they're going to be working together now for the rest of the race. Looks like
those two. And we got a caution.
And that looks like Aiden Schultz has had another incident. We're just going to go to the replay and see if we can catch that here. Looks like this is the tail end of his incident. We'll see if we can rewind and see what happened to him.
See if we can catch that one. He got a lot of a lot of engine damage on that car as well. So, obviously some serious damage to him, which isn't going to help things out. So,
I think it was mainly. I think maybe he was just pulling to the inside of the track to retire to the pits. It doesn't look like he'd come unstuck anywhere.
No, he was bellowing a lot of smoke though.
Yeah, looks like he blew his engine.
That's it. I'm wondering if he was pushing a bit too hard with a bit too much damage to the car's aero package, and that's caused a bit of overheating.
That would have been it. He's blown his engine, so that might be it for his race.
Yeah, there's not much they can do to recover that car now. So that's Schultz out of the race there, and this will give the drivers a chance to make a pit stop under the caution. Of course, not many laps done so far, only 9 laps. So we might see a few drivers trying to roll the dice, staying out there a little bit. Tyre wear, not such a big deal here. But of course, tyres that are 10 laps fresher are generally better than 10 laps younger. But of course, if you drop right to the back of the pack, you might lose a lot of time from that. So we see a few cars going in, and a few played the dummy. But we saw Danny G and Hartigan stay out, as well as Foster. His teammate Jason Martin has come in the pits, as well as Micklemore. So a few different drivers playing a few different strategies now.
I almost feel like Hartigan wanted to go in at that stage and maybe just thought better of it. Thought he was going to be in a bit of trouble where he was trying to go into the pits from.
Yeah, it's tricky. You can never say for sure. He might have just been throwing the dummy a little bit. Very fast stop for Micklemore there. Josh Micklemore getting an absolute blinder of a stop in that one. Getting past his teammate of Jason Martin. So I'm thinking maybe he only took a couple of tyres. Maybe he just took 2 sets of tyres, because he gained a lot of time in that pit stop. More than one would normally expect. So actually, I don't think he took any tyres at all. I'm just going back to have a little look at it myself. It looks like he's only taken fuel. So looks like Micklemore just took fuel on board just to get a little bit of extra fuel in the car, rather than going for tyres, just to give him that little bit more length in a green period. So interesting strategy choices there from a few people.
Yeah, looks like he's decided to take that little bit extra fuel. So maybe on his next stop he'll be stationary for not as long.
Well, that's the other thing that can help in that respect. But of course, the big thing is the tyres are the longest. They take the longest time to change, of course, and usually you can get the fuel in the car in that period. So I'd say he's just doing it for that little bit of extra stint length, because he's not too worried about tyre wear. So it'll be interesting to see how much of a difference these fresh tyres make for these drivers that have gone out there. The first of them will be Jason Martin, I believe, who's dropped down to... whereabouts are we?
He looks like he's in 15th position at the moment.
Yeah, so dropping down to 15th position for himself. So quite a way down the field. And as I said, it could be just a bit tricky from there because of the traffic. So he will have fresh tyres. His teammate won't, however. So Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin are going to be great indicators to see how tyre wear is actually affecting these cars tonight in the race. Because we'll have one fresh car on new tyres, one fresh car on old tyres. Both will have the same amount of fuel, so they'll be pushing as hard as each other. But we'll be able to see what a difference the actual tyre makes now, because, well, we'll see how much pace they can actually get from those tyres. If Jason Martin flies up the field, we'll know those tyres were a good choice. But if he doesn't make too much of a move on Josh Micklemore, we will know, that tyres aren't that big of a difference maker here, which is kind of what we're expecting.
We might sit with Jason Martin for the restart here and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes with that restart, because it could be an interesting place to watch from there for him. See how this restart goes for Jason Martin. As the pace car comes in, and we're going to go back to green flag racing very, very shortly.
Green.
And we are back away. So we can see his teammates a couple of cars in front of him. Not much difference on that restart. So obviously traction is not changed much from those fresh to old tyres that much. One advantage, of course, keeping the older tyres on, if there is any sort of like a graining issue, or if they have a little bit of early life problem when they're super, super fresh, you don't have to go through that as much.
Absolutely, and remembering now in ANZCAR they do have a tyre rule, so I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4 sets of tyres they're allowed, Carl. Maybe you can refresh my memory.
So yeah, 4 sets of tyres for the race. So That is the other big thing, because it's a fairly long race here at Michigan with 100 laps to race it on. You do have quite a bit of distance, and it can make, if you come in and change those tyres early, obviously, you've cut yourself down to a little bit less options during the race. Everybody else has got a few more tyre options now that they can play with. As Edward Foster has managed to get up into the lead of this race with his teammate Jason Hardigan behind him. Having that extra teammate around is going to help him a lot now that Danny G has lost his two teammates from the Mitch Motorsport team in Jason Martin and Josh Mickelmore as they went in for that pit stop. That's going to be a boon for the JP Simshed guys. You can see in the back of the picture there, you've got Martin and Mickelmore coming up the pack now. They are starting to climb their way up the field. Not making many positions though. Josh Mickelmore in 12th, Martin in 13th now. So they've still got a long way to go to get to the front of the field. We also saw on that restart, I believe it was Mirko Dortnak coming in, and that would have been for a penalty, I'd have said.
Yeah, that's going to be a shame for Mirko Dortnak. He's going to have his work cut out for him from here on in.
That's it. He's going to be hoping for a caution to come out relatively soon so he can get the lucky dog on that one. Because that can make a big difference to the race.
Absolutely. And all the while we're watching here, Edward Foster's just starting to eke away a slight lead. Jason Hardigan hasn't got much of an answer for Danny G at the moment. They're running neck and neck.
Very equal on pace, those two at the moment. They're not really setting out too much difference from each other. We've got Barry Nail behind them as well, just sitting there waiting to see how they're going in the Creative RS team. That beautiful Golf livery as well, which is going to be stuck onto the McLaren Formula 1 cars this year as well. But good to see him having another good race. He's one of the newer members to the league, and he's been having some very good results. Devon Stove there as well, up into 6th place between Hamish Gallagher and Nail. So some good drives there as well. Nice to see some new fresh faces coming up the leaderboards and up the grid as well.
Absolutely, and like I said, Barry's been the quiet achiever. Really, he's sort of been there or thereabouts, and he's really starting to show his worth in the ANZCAR series now.
Yeah, doing a very good job and being quite consistent as well, which is always important. And it is one of those things that when you do come into a league like this, it can be a bit frightening, a little bit tricky as well, because people tend to be a little bit wary of you and your sort of place finishes, things like that. But he's been very consistent and been doing some good drives, as we see Hamish Gallagher getting right underneath the rear wing, well, the sort of the rear spoiler there of Nail there, and just trying to get past. This isn't an easy track to work your way up on sometimes, because it is such a high-speed circuit. If people in front of you have got that pace, you can struggle a little bit, because you've got to rely on that slipstreaming effect, on that draft to get past people. And the draft doesn't always make it that easy, because as soon as you pull out from it, you start losing speed. So you really want to get a nice big run on somebody where you can get a little bit of extra speed of about 10 kilometers per hour, 5 kilometers per hour, where you can actually pass them, sort of get to at least in front of them down the straight, and then get your nose into the corner. But it can be a little bit hard on places like Michigan, where you can't really get a big enough run sometimes. It feels like you can't quite get that run up the order. As we see, Jason Martin now is just coming up the field. He's starting to work his way up through the order now, with his teammate just behind him of Josh Mickelmore. And of course, those two are on very different tyre strategies. The fresh tyres obviously not being a big benefit tonight. So usually on some tracks you'll see those fresh tyres will mean you'll jump up the order very quickly. But here tonight, they're not really affecting the cars that much.
No, it's not making a huge difference, is it?
Not a vast difference, no. But again, one of these tracks that is very much a very fast speedway. Tyre wear generally isn't as big of a factor. It's more going to be a fuel issue. So you've got to be careful on fuel in this kind of race.
And going back to the front here, looks like the leaders have sort of settled down a little bit.
Yeah, Danny G just sitting himself between a Simshed sandwich there of Foster and Hartigan, having relatively good positioning at the moment. Looks like we've got a bit of a... Looks like Darren Brumfield has got a bit of an issue. So, lap 19, it looks like he's gone into Raymond Yeager, maybe. Yeah, he's gone into the back of Raymond Yeager, just got caught out by Yeager having to lift, I think, and a little bit of extra draft. And he's lost the whole front end of that car. So, big bit of damage there on the front of Brumfield. That's going to affect his race a lot with that damage.
That's really going to slow him down.
Yeah, that could make a big difference. And at the moment, Skurlock is starting to work his way up as well now. He's coming up on the back, well, coming past Hamish Gallagher now, actually. He's managed to get past Hamish Gallagher. So, Michael Skurlock working his way up the field, as we often see Skurlock do, just quietly slipping up the field, and then eventually he'll be up there fighting for the lead. And at the fight for the lead, Foster is now coming under pressure from Danny G, Kai Sloggett, and Jason Hartigan.
Yeah, and Michael Skurlock's like the smiling assassin, sitting back there all the time, just waiting, buying his time. And then he makes his move, and once he makes his move, he's hard to keep up with.
He can be very quick when he needs to be, and he is always an ever-present danger, just coming up there and getting that lead and being quite dominant with it. Danny G dropping back positions now. He's just got himself caught up at the back of Foster, had to lift off a little bit, and it's given the other drivers a chance, like Kai Sloggett, who has managed to get a nice slingshot at the moment. As he comes up underneath Jason Hartigan, he's going to try and get another slingshot using the side draft now from Foster and try and get himself up into the lead. Skurlock just sitting there in 5th place, licking his lips, ready for the moves, because while these guys are all fighting, it's just letting those guys behind catch up a little bit. Skurlock now looking to try and get it 3 wide through the corner. Doesn't quite have enough speed this time round, but it's allowed him to get up to the side of Danny G and Jason Hartigan. He's going to start trying to push along Kai Sloggett and try and sit on his back and get there as well. Try and get past Foster. That's going to be the plan of attack, I imagine. Bradley Allison now joining this fight.
Yeah, and Foster's not going to be giving up easily. He's supremely confident at the moment, coming off the back of 5 wins in a row. I think in the it eludes me at the moment, but he's had a great run in the other series.
The Grand National Series, yeah, he's had five wins, but not on the trot. He lost out at Bristol, unfortunately, after an early smash. But 5 wins in the Grand National Series, and then of course the win last time out with us at now I've forgotten the name of the track that we were at last time. Good old brains. At New Hampshire, of course. So he's coming off a win at New Hampshire in the Cup Series. So he's been getting some good wins towards the tail end of this year. Things are starting to go his way now. So giving him a lot more confidence as well. Just speaking of people that are doing well and doing a really good job, Kai Sloggett there, who hasn't been in the series for a bit of time. He's missed quite a few races, Kai. And one of those drivers that you expect to be doing well generally because he is quite fast. But he's managed to get back for his first race tonight, and he's now challenging for the lead, and I think he might get Foster here.
He's really applying the blowtorch, and it does look like it's only a matter of time before he gets Foster.
Yeah, he's really working hard at the moment in the MFR car. But he's just going to have to drop back, and that's going to give Skurlock a chance now. Skurlock's coming up underneath. Jason Hartigan slips back into second. It's, as I said, it's easy enough to get up to the side of somebody. Passing is a different thing, though, because as soon as you go out into that open air, as soon as you go out into the clean air, so to say, it's like hitting a brick wall, and the car just drops speed like hitting a brick wall, really.
Yeah, and we see here Michael Skurlock trying to go around the outside. Might have a look down on the inside now, which he does.
All over. He's a bit like a rash at the moment, all over the track. But he's trying to find that line that's going to work and give him a good slingshot out of the corner. He's desperately trying to get up there and take the lead away, but nobody's able to do it at the moment. I think their best chance is they go 3 wide across the start-finish line, slog it, Hartigan and Skurlock. Great to see there. I think his best chance is going to be if he can get somebody to give him a little bit of a push, a little bit of a bump drafting. That's going to be the only way to get past.
That was pretty close there. Hartigan and Skurlock getting pretty close out of the end of that exit of that corner.
Definitely a moment where you needed the brave pill to stay on the throttle there, and everybody did indeed. Great job there for keeping on there, but this has put Skurlock out on the high line now, and he's going to have a little bit of trouble out. Just not being able to take his full line, his preferred line, as Sloggett just sits down there on the inside.
And it almost looks like this Stouch has sort of bought into Foster a little bit and allowed him to sort of creep away.
It's given him a chance to break free a bit as they're all fighting behind him. You got to say, Jason Hartigan at the moment being a fantastic tail gunner for Foster, just keeping that pack away from him. As you probably just saw in the background a little bit, that ever-present bright purple car of Martin is still trying to work its way up the field. He's only managed to get into 10th place, so not really carving away through the field at the moment. His teammates dropped down to 5th.
No, and the big mover and shaker at the moment is Michael Skurlock, up 12 places into 3rd.
Yeah, Skurlock having a great run at the moment and doing his job really. You got to say he's been doing a great effort with the Pace Syndicate team.
Absolutely. Another good mover as well has been Lachlan, who's made 15 places to be in 12th now.
Yeah, Lachlan really working his way up the field as well. So good start for Lachlan, starting way back there in 27th and working his way up to 13th. Kai Sloggett started 13th and is all the way up to 6th now. But he has Jason Martin now starting to peck away at him. So we said they weren't really catching that fast, but they are starting to catch now, those guys. The early leaders are starting to pull their way up there. But they still have a lot of cars they've got to go through, and we've seen that passing isn't that easy here at Michigan.
No, at the moment it seems that everyone's holding station. They're looking for an opportunity. They're looking for someone to make a mistake, but so far no one at the pointy end has really set a foot wrong yet.
That's it. People are going to be waiting for that caution to come out, waiting for something to go wrong for somebody else. As Danny G and Skurlock get very close there. But waiting for that sort of moment to happen. And it's not currently happening. We've got a good, nice long green flag period here at the moment. Touch wood, not giving the curse of the commentator. But this is helping people like Foster, who's just managing to eke out a bit of a lead. And now Jason Hartigan's pulled away from that pack as well. The trouble is, this pack, if they keep fighting like they are going to start dropping off pace, especially if the two Simshed cars can work together and start pushing themselves out a bit of a lead.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a betting man, when would you think the pit stops would start to happen if we were to stay on the green, that is?
Depends how people are going on fuel mileage. I'd probably say around about lap 40 to lap 50, obviously. I think if you're running a bit hard on the fuel, you're going to be about lap 40 or 45, which obviously won't take you to the end of the race. But they're going to try and eke it out to get to the halfway distance, try and get to around about lap 50 if they can. Obviously, fuel might be the bordering issue here. If they can actually get the fuel saving to get to that point, then they'll be looking good towards the end of the race. But we might see people coming in around about lap 30, about 38 to lap 40, I reckon, if they are starting to struggle with fuel mileage. And we have got a pitter coming in now in Bill Hickey, I believe. So Bill Hickey's actually coming into the pit lane right now. So we've got one person coming in already that has lap 33. So we'll have to see how the leaders do out here because, as I say, if they can get to around about lap 40, they'll be pretty happy. People will be trying their best to get every bit of fuel out of the car and get there to about, up to the high 40s. But sometimes it's just not physically possible.
Absolutely, and right now I'd say the guys at the front, this is kind of working into Foster's and Hartigan's hands. They're Hardigan's trying to get onto the back of Foster to try to get that toe. They've got a little bit of a gap, but the cars behind are starting to range up on them.
That's it. The cars behind them have started working working with each other and getting into a good line. Just going back to have a look at Skurlock, because he's lost quite a few positions, Michael Skurlock. It just looks like he's just dropped some pace off as he's had a bit of a moment, I believe, just getting a bit offline. But I'm wondering if he's just doing that to save pace, and he's coming into the pit lane now, so Skurlock's pitting right now, actually. So, looks like fuel mileage is a bit of a struggle out there. We saw Skurlock having a lot of pace, and of course, when you've got that, you use a bit more fuel than everybody else around you. So, I'd say Foster is going to be the one that's going to pit next, and that could be within the next 2 to 3 laps, I'd say.
So you would think that once Foster blinks, the rest will probably come in to follow?
I don't think we'll see that. I think we'll see everybody staying out as long as they can. This is where it's going to fall into the hands of Jason Martin and Josh Micklemore. Of course, because they came in for that pit stop in the caution earlier on in this race. So they have about an extra 10 or 12 laps of fuel on board, which could be a big difference here. So they'll want to stay out as long as possible, just in case a caution comes. Obviously, Foster's going to be using a lot more fuel at the front of the field, having to push that hole through the air. So he's going to need to blink first. So we might see him come in together with Jason Hartigan, just so that those two can work together when they come out again. But I imagine we'll see Danny G, Kai Sloggett, and Hamish Gallagher stay out as long as they can, just to try and make up a few positions, just to see if they can get up the field a little bit and make a position just through staying out a bit longer than everybody else, as we see Skurlock coming off pit road now, just joining up with those leaders.
That seems a little bit like that was a long stop. I don't know.
I've got a feeling Skurlock might have got a penalty. I've got a feeling he would have got a stop-go penalty because he locked his brakes up coming into the pit road. I did notice that as he pitted, but didn't mention anything. But he did lock up when he was coming in, so I'm wondering if he copped a penalty for that one because of the lockup.
And now Foster and Hardigan, the leaders, are coming up on slower traffic.
They are. Well, you say slower traffic. I believe. I'm trying to see who that is. They definitely got much fresher tyres on them, and that's helping them out a little bit. So it's Stephen Williams up there, and he's pitted. So he's just come out of the pit lane. So you can see now that the tyres are making a bit of difference because he's pulling away from those leaders. Foster would have been quite happy about having him sitting in front of him just to give him a little bit more fuel mileage. But this is where people like Stephen Williams can start making up some okay positions, because he was running relatively high up the field in that race as the pack was fighting on. As we see now, Foster's got Jason Hartigan to the inside of him. Kai Sloggett to the inside of him. So Kai Sloggett's starting to make his move now. And he's going to be pushing up, trying to get past him. You've got Danny G on the outside as well. So getting a little bit blocked in by Foster. So Foster still holding staunch to that lead, trying to hold on to it as long as possible. He's definitely got some good pace out there tonight, but he's trying to keep everybody behind him for sure. So interesting strategy there. You see Jason Hartigan just dropping in behind Danny G now as well. So I'm expecting to see Foster pitting relatively soon, just because of the fact he's been having to be the air breaker for so long.
Yeah, well, he's at 41 laps now, so you would expect to see him coming in soon.
And a few other people pitting as well. And, you know, you can see now that there is a bit of an advantage for those tyres as well, because you see Stephen Williams, he's made a huge amount of time over Foster since coming out the pit lane. As Foster runs up wide, you've got Skurlock now coming down the inside, getting those positions back.
And they certainly won't be arguing with Skurlock. They're just going to let him go.
They are. So, you know, Skurlock lost a lot of time in that pit stop, I believe, for the penalty he got. But he's managed to get his lap back now. So he's He's managed to get back onto the lead lap, so that's going to help him out a lot. If there is a caution flag, and if a pace car does come out. So Kai Sloggett's now taking the lead. Sloggett now in front of Foster, and this could be some welcome news to Foster, because this is going to allow him to save a little bit of fuel. Not much at this stage of the game. It's going to be vapours, and I believe he'll be breathing down the fuel pipe, trying to get a little bit more of that juice getting into the engine to get it a bit longer. But this will help a little bit in his fuel mileage, to try and get him a little bit further on in this race. Will he be able to make it to lap 50, though? Because that's the big one. If you make it to lap 50, you can just about make it to the end of the race without any more cautions.
And, well, I guess that's what they're certainly going to be trying to do. But we also have to remember there was a caution in this period, so they wouldn't have used as much fuel. Can they get 50 laps full green if they have to?
That is the big question now. Of course, because that caution will have saved them about a lap to 2 laps of fuel, and will help them out quite a lot. There are things that you can do to save fuel. Of course, lifting and coasting a little bit, just easing off a bit through the corners. All these little things that can save you a little bit of fuel as you go on. But will it be enough to get them to that point? They're going to try for sure, as we're going to hit lap 45 this time round. Kai Sloggett, though, firmly in the lead at the moment. Nice to see that. Nice to see the Middle Finger Racing team up there again with that fantastically coloured car.
Absolutely. And he's really asserted himself too. As soon as he's hit the lead, he's taken no time to try to extend that.
No, he's done a really good job there. Issues for Stephen Williams, I believe. He's gone into the wall. Stephen Williams has gone into the wall. So we saw Stephen Williams flying past the leaders earlier as he came out on those fresh tyres. He's actually gone up into the wall, and that's caused him to have a big wobble, a secondary hit into the wall, and lost him a lot of time as we saw the leaders going past him again. Just shows how easy it is to do on these kind of tracks. So you just lose concentration for a millisecond, and you can have a big accident very quickly.
Yeah, and it really looks like it's affected him, because he's starting to drop back now. He's dropping into the hands of Norman Clark.
Absolutely, and again, that's that aero damage, and that causes the issue. The aero damage is not what you want. It makes it very tricky. In fact, because the car loses a lot of pace, and it makes it very hard to drive. So
absolutely, and there we can see Lachlan getting past Steve Williams fairly easily there.
yeah, not going to have much trouble getting past that car now. It's a bit of a wounded animal, and it's not much damage on that right front, but it's enough to make the difference. Foster's trying to get back in the lead now against Kai Sloggett. He's trying his best to push there, and working together with his teammate, getting a nice bit of push. Now all 3 of the Mitch Motorsport cars are in a line. You've got Danny G, Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin all in a line now, and they are going to be trying to start pushing each other. Of course, they've got a bit of extra fuel on board compared to the rest around them, so they can stay out much longer as Hartigan's coming to pit. Jason Hartigan's coming into pit lane now. Looks like he slowed down the car perfectly, so he's the first to blink on lap 47. So obviously he used a bit more fuel than his teammate, which is a little bit surprising considering he was sat behind him for most of that time. Foster doing a great job to keep out there still, obviously. He was doing some good fuel saving.
Yeah, he's done a great job fuel saving.
He is, but he's pitting this lap. Foster is pitting this lap. So he didn't make it much longer, just the 1 lap, but he is coming in this lap time. So Kai Sloggett now is going to be the effective leader as he gets a great run from Danny G there. Danny G getting a fantastic run coming up on Kai Sloggett.
And this is really going to play into the hands of Jason Martin, and I think Josh Micklemore as well.
This could be the difference between the winner of the race now, because obviously they can stay out a bit longer. They can make it to probably about lap 55 to 58. And by doing that, they're going to build up a big gap. Now, of course, the cars that have pitted will be able to gain some time up on their tyres, but they're going to have to come in for a splash and dash before the end of this run, because they're not going to make it to the end with those fuel numbers, I don't think.
Danny G's just peeled off and headed into pit lane.
Again, one of those cars that's been leading a lot of this race and up at the front of the field quite a few times. You can see now that those cars coming out from their pit stop, you can see where they're coming out, feeding out in the actual pack. Jason Hardigan's got in front of Jason Martin. Foster's come out just behind Bradley Allison. And you can see the difference these tyres are going to make now as well, as they just come flying past. Kai Sloggett getting pushed out wide. That's not going to help him at all. He's going to lose a bit of time there.
And it almost looks like he's trying to come low to get into the pits.
I was about to say that, because obviously Kai Sloggett was a bit further down in the field for that race, so he probably had a bit more draft to play with. But he's going to need to get down on that bottom line soon, because otherwise he could be stuck out there with no fuel. So he's probably going to be wanting to get into the pits this time or next time by. Hamish Gallagher's going to come in this time round. So it looks like Hamish Gallagher's going to pit next. So big question is going to be, how long can Kai Sloggett keep it out there? How long can he keep out there on this current strategy?
And he's in now.
Yeah. He's coming in with Hamish Gallagher. Not a big surprise there. Needed to be done. But it's going to help. It's definitely going to help out Josh Micklemore, Jason Martin. Those guys that pitted earlier on are going to have a big bit of help now, as they're going to be able to stay out there that bit longer. And make those times up.
Well, like you said, you'd think there's one more stop for them, and they should be able to make it to the end of the race.
From this point, everybody will have to make another stop. So it's going to work out for those guys. For sure. Definitely going to be a big helper for them as this race goes on, because they're going to be able to make it to the end without any stops. Well, everybody else is going to have to come in at least one more time, as well as those guys. So, effectively, they've done a one-stop race if you consider the safety car a bit of a free stop, whereas everybody else has to run a two-stop race, which could be very detrimental to them.
Absolutely. Just going back down again, having a look at Lachlan. He's made up 17 places. Into the top 10 now. I think this is probably his best showing so far in the Cup.
Yeah, he's having a good, strong race here tonight. He's just got Josh Micklemore just sitting behind him now with Jason Martin. Of course, Lachlan hasn't pitted yet, so that's a big one for him, because he's not come in yet for his pit stop. So once he comes in, he's going to lose quite a few positions again. But he's sitting well at the moment. He's just having a nice, not racing too hard. He's just sitting in good positions, just getting those laps under his belt. All that's needed, and they will help out a little bit in the end, so to say.
Absolutely, and here we see Hardigan and Foster again. It's Foster this time trying to catch up to Hardigan, so they can work together and see if they can start putting in some laps, get them to the top of the field.
Well, that's it now. Is the question is do you push as hard as you can now, trying to make up those time, trying to make up those positions, or do you ease off a little bit and try and fuel save? Obviously, if you want to win the race, you're going to have to just push as hard as you can, because it's going to be very tricky to get past when these guys are going to have such a big advantage over you. They have managed to get back onto the lead lap, of course, so that's going to help them out a bit, but it can be a tricky thing sometimes, getting those positions up, so we'll have to see how they run as well. And Bradley Allison, of course, he's also pitted, I believe, so he's sitting in a good spot. Tristan Koch as well, up into 4th place. Good drive from Tristan Koch. We've seen Koch having some good drives recently in the series. He's sitting there in 4th place. another guy that came in a little bit earlier for those pit stops. I'm just wondering if my timing's playing up, because if it's not, Lachlan's still out there without pitting. So
No, I'm looking at the timing here. I believe he has had a pit, and that was on lap 48.
okay, good. Yeah, because I was about to say it'd be very difficult for him to stay out there this long. If he has, he's using some kind of magical extra fuel saving system.
I think if he'd been out there this long, he's going to be holding a clinic on fuel saving next week.
It's yeah, probably a very good job. Bradley Allison doing a good run on Jason Martin now up at the front. The front three are very close together still. The ones that came in that early in that early caution. Just seeing Tristan Koch has come into the pit lane now for some fresh boots and some fuel in there. That's going to help him out as well. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys start feeding out, and how long do these guys stay out on track? How long are we going to see Micklemore, Martin and Allison staying out there? Because they're going to start running low on fuel right about now. Of course, when they come out of the pit lane, they're going to have lost a lot of time to the guys in front of them. But the thing is they don't have to stop again, whereas everybody else will.
So from the looks of things, it really does look like they're in the box seat. I guess the guys behind them are going to be hoping for a caution.
So Josh Micklemore coming into the pit lane this time round. So Micklemore pitting his time. So that answers that question. Micklemore is going to be the first to blink for the stops. Wonder if Jason Martin's going to follow him in, or if Martin can go a little bit longer. No, Martin's coming in as well. That's going to leave Bradley Allison out in the front. So Bradley Allison's going to take the lead of this race as Micklemore and Martin come into the pits. And now Bradley Allison's going to be coming in next time round. So those guys made it to laps 59 and 60. So good job from them. Good run for them. And this could be a race victory if we don't see any cautions out.
Yeah, that was it was a great move coming in and just topping up the tanks there on that caution.
That was really helpful.
Yeah, that could be the race deciding move.
And we don't expect to see many cautions here tonight. It's one of those things about this track here at Michigan. It's not an easy track to drive, but it is a very fast track, and probably one of the ones we'll see a few less cautions on because of the layout of it and the nature of it. Because it's not so hard on tyres, you don't have that issue of the car skidding up the track unbeknownst to you, and you can sort of hold on a little bit better. So probably don't expect to see that many cautions coming out tonight. So it could be absolutely vital now for Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin. Of course, now they've just got to play it safe and work their way up the field. They've come out just behind Norman Clark, who they're going to start working their way past now. And we did see earlier on that tyre wear is not that big a deal here tonight. So again, how are they going to go on tyres compared to the rest of the field is going to be the question. How much time do they lose now? How much time do these tyres make up when it's only been about 12 or 14 laps?
Yeah, absolutely. And Norman Clark...
and Foster's coming into the pit lane. Sorry, just quickly, Foster is pitting.
So is Hardigan.
Foster and Hardigan are making their splash and dash now. Interesting strategy call there by them.
Maybe they've decided to take the pain now, get onto better tyres. Let's see if they do change their tyres.
That's going to be the thing. Are they just going to take fuel? No, Foster's taking tyres.
Hardigan's overshot his pit lane. That's really going to hurt him.
That's going to be super costly on Hartigan, so that's really going to cost Hartigan a lot of times, because we see Foster's just passing him now. So Foster only took right tyres from what I can see. So Foster only just took 2 sets of tyres. But this is going to be damaging to their strategy as well, because, of course, Foster was going to be hoping for Hartigan to be out there with him, so they could start making up that time as a little mini battle pack almost. But now that they've lost each other, it could be crucial for their strategy that they're not going to be able to work together. So it could be a real bit of a pain for those two now.
Yeah, this is really going to hurt Foster. Foster's come out in 15th. Hardigan is now in 19th.
Yeah, they're going to have to work their way up there. The one thing that this could be good for Foster for is it could net him a 3rd or 4th place. Just getting out there now on the slightly fresher tyres, he might be able to just put a little bit more pace into the car, be able to work his way up there a little bit more. But he's definitely going to be struggling to get a win out there tonight. Skurlock's coming in now as well, so Skurlock's sort of seeing the strategy of those two coming in now as well. So a few drivers are taking the choice to have that splash and dash here on lap 63, rather than waiting till the very end. So going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Of course, if you stay out there, there's that chance a caution can come out, and that can pay off a huge amount for you. It just neutralises the race for everybody else. But if there's no caution, this could really pay off to those guys pitting now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fascinating strategy stuff. It's not often we get really interesting variations on strategy, but it's nice to see when we do.
Yeah, it's great to see people throwing the dice and having a look at some different strategy calls.
Strategy calls can make you a hero or a zero very quickly, of course, because if you call it right, you can look like an absolute legend. But of course, if that caution comes out and you've pitted a bit earlier than everybody else, it can just absolutely ruin the race for you and ruin your chances. Really, it's a very
Just having a look there at one of the cars getting a bit of a tank slapper coming out of the corner there.
yes, a
I think that was
big
Mick
moment
Wilson.
there.
Yep.
And that is one of those things you don't want happening when you're on that sort of alternate strategy. You're seeing a car doing that. You want those cars to be nice and stable and not going around.
So right now, Danny G's in control of the race. He's got a fairly decent lead there to Kai Sloggett.
He's got about a second lead over Kai Sloggett now, and then there's about a second to Hamish Gallagher, and then 4 seconds back to Barry Neal. So quite a big gap at the front now. They're really quite close. Actually, Lachlan takes up to 4th place. So good pass for Lachlan. So nice work for him. Josh Micklemore is working his way back up there. He's got past those two as well as Jason Martin. So they're running up in 4th and 5th. Sorry. So they're working their way up the field. They're catching to their teammate now. So we'll have to see how that goes. The one that's probably the most interesting one to look down the field at is Foster, who's about 30 seconds off the lead now. So he's got a good position. Now Lachlan Yurko is going to come in now as well. And he's going to pit now for his final stop. So we start seeing the drivers coming in for these final stops. It'll be interesting to see where they come out in regards to the rest, because they're going to drop a fair bit of time behind Foster now, who's managed to gain a fairly decent pace back out there and gain some good positions. So he's looking good to effectively get about 3rd or 4th position as it stands.
Yeah, not bad time. His last lap time was a 39.7. The only other drivers in the 39s was Jason Martin with a 39.93 and Bradley Allison with a 39.91.
And those are the guys that pitted. Danny G coming in now. So Danny G pitting now from the lead. That's going to leave Kai Sloggett out there to inherit the leadership once more. Sorry, excuse me.
Now we saw Kai was out there for a few extra laps, so you'd think he's going to stay out a little bit longer.
I would say he's going to roll the dice in the possible caution front and try and stay out as long as he can. Probably coming around about laps 75 to 80, I reckon, if he's going to go green. He might leave it to 85 if he's really wanting to gamble. But But it's going to be, the question is how long do you stay out there now? Because obviously you're going to lose a lot of time from those guys that pitted earlier. If we look at Lachlan, he's dropped back to 16th place now, and he's effectively a lap down. So he's lost a lot of positions, a lot of time there. When you look at Edward Foster, he's up in 12th at the moment, only 28 seconds off the lead. So he's got a lot more. He's got a lot of time over Lachlan at the moment. He's gained a lot of time there. So doing a good job for Foster.
Absolutely, and Jason Hardigan has had a comeback as well. He's now sitting in 12th, so he's right behind Foster. When I say right behind, he's still almost 7 seconds behind Foster, but he's in there, and he's trying to catch up. Matter of fact, he is catching up to Foster, so it'll be interesting to see if they can catch up and start working together again.
You'd have to wonder if Jason Hardigan did take all the extra tyres after his pit stop, after the bit of calamity that was his pit stop, because he knew he'd lost time, so he might have taken on the extra boots as well, just to hopefully give himself a little bit more chance out there, give him a little bit more pace as it stands. But at the moment, the guys behind Kai Sloggett of Hamish Gallagher, Josh Mickelmore and Jason Martin are slowly catching up to him. They're setting reasonably similar pits as reasonably similar times to each other, but you've got to say that Martin and Mickelmore are that little bit quicker as it stands.
Yeah, they've got the lap times in hand. Danny G just did a 39.2. Obviously, that's on fresh tyres, and he's just blasted past Hardigan.
Yeah, Danny G is going to have some good pace under his belt now, but is he going to have enough to catch Foster? That's going to be the question for him, because if the tyres, of course, they're going to start to wear down as they go. So, Foster's got a good 10 seconds or so over Danny G. Will those tyres last for the laps needed to get that 10 seconds up, which is going to be a fair few laps? If he's only just looking at the times now, if he's setting the lap times he does now, he's almost a second faster. Obviously, it's going to take him about 10 laps to catch up. But once it sort of plateaus, once it starts to balance out, it might start taking a bit longer and a bit longer. So we'll see how that one goes. Could be an interesting fight for those guys.
And we also see Lachlan here, his last lap with a 39.3. So with those fresh tyres, he's blasting his way through the field as well.
Yeah, he's actually catching up to Jason Hartigan now, next on the list of people for him to catch. So again, you can sort of see the difference those fresh tyres are making. Not huge differences, but it's enough to help you out a little bit. It's sort of not as big a sort of leap as some other tracks, but it does help out nonetheless. Of course, the big thing for Kai Sloggett's going to be is, will he take all tyres, or will he just take 2 sets of tyres as well? Will he roll the dice and just try and take a couple of extra tyres over full tyre service? Or will he just get a bit of fuel put in the car and just not worry about tyres at all? Because, of course, could help him save a bit of time towards the end of the race. Or can he actually manage to get to the final lap of this race with fuel vapours inside the car?
And that's the big question. 25 laps to go. Kai Sloggett's still out there, circulating. His last lap time was a 40.8. Josh Mickelmore, 40.6. Jason Martin, almost identical times to Josh Mickelmore.
Yeah, they're very much on similar pace now. Despite the whole sort of stopping and the slightly sort of fresher tyres on those guys behind, they are catching very slowly. But that's more to do with the fact that they're working together and helping push each other, doing a little bit of bump drafting, things like that, just to help them gain a little bit of speed here. And they are catching Kai Sloggett, but not by huge swaths. They're not really catching at a super high speed.
That's the thing now. Barry Neal's in for a stop. Looks like there's 2 tyres for Barry. No, he's taking 4 tyres. So he's going to be pushing as hard as he can when he gets out. And you can see the attitude as he's exiting the pits here.
Yeah, really pushing them hard, and that's the thing now is if you're taking all 4 tyres, then you can absolutely just race this car to the maximum. You don't have to worry about any tyre saving. You don't have to worry about anything now. You're just racing at the full potential of the car speed. So, doing as much as you can. Up at the front, Kai Sloggett is now getting pressure from behind as Josh Micklemore's sitting right underneath the spoiler of that car. Jason Martin right behind him as well. But we've seen tonight, catching's one thing, passing is another. So how well will they go with the passing aspect? That's the big question now.
Yeah, it looks like they've got Kai's number, and Josh is making it look fairly easy at the moment.
He's got that inside line quite well as they make contact. They make contact there. Kai Sloggett doing a great job of keeping the car out of the wall. Just a little bit of a bump onto the front section of Kai's car as they were going through turn number 2. So just a little bit of contact there. Looks like they were just running a little bit. It looked like Kai lost a little bit of the rear grip and just slid down a little bit. Josh Micklemore lost a little bit of front grip, slid up. So that could have been a big crash, but they all managed to keep it together. Great driving from Kai Sloggett to stop it from going into the wall.
And now it looks like Martin and Micklemore are going to be working together here. I just get the impression that Martin's buying his time, although you can see he's right on the back of Micklemore's car. Josh is carrying a little bit of damage on the back there. I don't know if that's going to affect him.
Rear damage can sometimes sort of not affect the car too much, but any aero damage can be damaging. Of course, the rear is not too bad because there's not much air flowing past that. It's more so the front that causes you problems. Kai Sloggett is coming back at them now, getting a good run on the 2 guys. Now he's got into their draft, so he's going to keep in contact with these guys. And if Jason Martin does try and make a move, Sloggett is going to go the opposite direction, try and block Jason Martin out, and try and make a move of his own.
Really would be the sensible thing here. That's going to give him a little bit of fuel conservation as well. But if he feels confident, he'll definitely have a look.
That's it. If Kai is trying to make it on one stop, he'll not be too upset about the cars in front of him because that's going to help him out with that fuel mileage. As long as he keeps in the draft and keeps the air from hitting the front of his car, slowing him down. But we'll have to see how that plays out right now. Just looking down the field a little bit, the gap between Foster and G is coming down. Danny G and Foster is coming down a little bit. So 4 seconds between those 2 guys now. In the same picture as they go through now, you can sort of see. So Danny G is catching on Foster. Still setting some good lap times for Danny G. But now there is another car out that's come out between them, Matt Hunter, who's got some great pace.
Yeah, Danny G there last lap, 0.3 of a second faster than Foster with a 40.5, Foster 40.8.
Yeah, good jobs by those guys.
You just get the impression that that pit stop that Micklemore and Martin took was definitely the way to go.
Yeah, it looks like they've really made the absolute best call tonight. Really nice job for those guys. And that's really going to help them out, as I say, because they're going to be able to get to the end a little bit on vapours, but you know they're going to have enough fuel to get there without too much hassle. The big one is going to be Kai Sloggett. Can he manage to make it there? If he can stay onto the back of these guys and make it to the end of the race, he's going to get himself a good solid 3rd place. But just behind them, you've got people like Hamish Gallagher, Bradley Allison. Bradley Allison, of course, came in that little bit later as well. So there's different strategies out there still playing around. And a lot of people that are out there that have only made the one stop need to stop again, but are just trying to stay out as long as possible to basically hope for a caution.
And look at that, Barry Neal just underneath Bradley Allison. Bradley not arguing it. At the moment, Bradley's the man on the charge, 39.7 his last lap.
Yeah, setting some good pace. We saw him come in for all of those tyres as well, getting all 4 tyres changed. that's going to help him out quite a bit as well, because obviously all nice sticky tyres make a car much more fun to drive, and you can take lines that other drivers can't anymore, such as a real low line around the corners. And you can see Barry doing it right now, getting past Kai Sloggett, getting up behind Josh Micklemore. He's just able to get that pace on that lower line that those guys that are on the older tyres can't, because the tyres are just that little bit more, well, a little bit more worn, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see they're not bothering to argue with him. They're just letting him go, opening up the steering just enough to let him go, but not too much that it slows them down.
Well, that's it. It's basically setting the car so you can get past, you can let somebody past as well, but you're not going to cost yourself time. And that's one of the trickiest things as a driver to do, is to allow a car to pass you, but not lose time in the process. And that's where sort of just taking a slightly higher line, or just taking a slightly different line, can affect it. Make it a little bit easier. Make things a little bit sort of safer as well. Kai Sloggett now, he's just jumping onto the back of Bradley Allison, and he's going to get past Josh Micklemore right here, and he does. He manages to slot past Micklemore.
Nice move there. And all the while we can see, I've been looking at the timing here, that the law of diminishing returns is sort of catching up to Danny G. His last lap of 40.7. Ed Foster's was a 40.6.
And Kai Sloggett just getting into the wall there very, very momentarily. Just big sparks coming off the back of his car. Looks like it was just paint that's been scraped off. But that's not going to help with the speed of the car.
No, it's kind of looks like it's slowed both himself and Micklemore down as well.
That's going to give them Jason Martin a bit of a chance, as Micklemore just lost a bit of time from that. He had to lift off and really cost him some time there. But a good overtake from Kai Sloggett, a good return to the Cup Series as well for him. Good showing in his return race. It's been a fair few races since we last saw him out there, so it is nice to see him back on track.
Yeah, fantastic to see Kai back, and great to see him at the pointy end of the field for his first race back.
It always makes you feel happy when you're at the pointy end of the field, that is for sure.
Absolutely. And just going back to this battle between Ed Foster and Danny G here, looks like things are starting to plateau out. Last lap, Danny G was the winner there by about a tenth of a second, with a 40.6 as opposed to Foster's 40.7. So there really isn't much in it at all.
No, they're starting to get very similar lap times now. Those tyres have dropped off to a point where it's no longer making a big difference in lap times. Got Brennan Bartlett coming just losing a position, I think, to Norman Clark, or gaining position, sorry, over Norman Clark. So Foster and a little bit of a battle going on there. Just trying to have a look, see what's going on in my timing screen there. But yeah, up the front we've got Jason Martin's got himself a nice lead at the moment over his two rivals of Kai Sloggett and Josh Micklemore. Josh Micklemore he's really ruining letting Kai Sloggett get past now, because now he's got Hamish Gallagher on the back of him, who's starting to peck away at his heels. So this has brought Hamish Gallagher into the race at the front now as well.
Yeah, there's this is going to be almost going to be the race for the minor placings, isn't it? These guys, any one of these guys can really take it from here.
They can indeed. And speaking of guys doing a good job, as Adam Rosell is doing a great job at the moment. A newer driver to the Cup Series in the 293 car. He's up there in 6th place at the moment, battling with Norman Clark. I've not mentioned him tonight so far, because we haven't really seen much of him, but he's come from 23rd to 6th and been having a good run out there at the moment. And the caution's out. We've got a caution.
Looks like Tristan Koch. Let's see if we can go to that and see what happened.
Few cars involved.
And there we go.
Bill Hickey there just lost it. He was running on quite old tyres, and that's really caused a big incident down there. Quite a few cars involved in that incident. So Bill Hickey, Tristan Koch, Graham Mercora as well caught up in that one as well. So quite a few drivers caught up in that incident. But this is going to be the ultimate equaliser now. This is just throwing all of that strategy out of the race. It's also gonna, it's gonna hurt people like Foster, of course, Jason Hartigan, Danny G, because they're a bit further down the field.
Yeah, absolutely, and it'll be, I wouldn't think that at this stage Jason Martin's going to come in for tyres, but I think if he does, people are going to follow.
Yeah, I would say, I'd say he's going to have his hand forced, because if everybody behind him comes in for tyres, he's going to lose out so much speed. So I think we're going to see everybody coming in for fresh tyres.
And they're doing exactly that. Adam, is that? No, Adam stays out.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to stay out.
We had one car that stayed out. I'm not sure who it was. Lachlan's, no, he's in.
He's pitting. A couple of lapped cars were staying out, of course. A couple of lapped cars because they have to wait an extra lap to pit under pace car. So the guys that are lapped down will have stayed out. So because there were a few cars that were a lap down, those are the guys that stayed out. But everybody is pitting in, basically.
I'm not sure if Mick Wilson was a lap down, but if he wasn't, he's decided to stay out.
I believe Mick Wilson got the lucky dog, I think. Or he got a wave around. I'll see how that goes on him. Keep an eye on that one.
No, he's
coming in now. Yeah, as I say, I think everybody's going to come in for fresh tyres because there's going to be such a difference now that there's no point sticking it out there.
Yeah, everybody's covered everyone off.
But this is going to help out people. Kai Sloggett, Hamish Gallagher, Bradley Allison, Brennan Bartlett as well, all going to be helped out by that. That is going to be a big help for those guys. A huge boon for them. It's kind of going to help out Foster and Danny G as well because it's cut down the lead that those guys out in front would have had. So it's not a disaster for Martin and Micklemore, but it is going to hamper their ease of victory, we'll say, because they were looking for an easy 1-2 out there. Kai Sloggett is going to be sitting pretty, though, because he no longer has to worry about fuel saving. He can just go all out now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably what's going to happen at the restart is they are going to be going all out, which could force the hand and bring out another safety car.
Well, that's it. As we do say many times, cautions breed cautions. Unfortunately, and that is very much the thing. Is it can absolutely bring that sort of that caution flag to fall on the cars. So we'll have to see how they do, how it all goes once the pace car comes in, once everybody starts going hell for leather out there. But this could work its way back into the hands of people like Foster. Another guy that's really helped out is Norman Clark, up into 6th position, I believe. He's sitting on the outside line. Bradley Allison on the inside line. So Foster's right behind Allison right now on the inside line. So he's only a couple of cars back from the leader, Jason Martin. As the pace car is going to be coming in this time round, we're going to go back to green flag racing, and this has cut away the lead of those guys up in front. But will they have the pace to keep out there? Will Kai Sloggett be able to do something now? Now that he doesn't have to worry about fuel, this could be a great advantage for him. Pace cars are coming into pit lane now. Jason Martin effectively takes the mantle over a pace car. When's he going to drop the hammer? He does it now. Kai Sloggett manages to get the foot on the floor pretty quickly in reaction. Not quite fast enough because you can see that Josh Micklemore's got out there well as too. So a great restart there from Mitch Motorsport. And the amount of times we said that this season, if I had $1 for it, I'd be quite a rich man.
Well, you wouldn't need to be doing this.
That's true. Foster got a good restart as well. Foster going down at the inside now, trying to get past got past his teammate. He's now looking at Bradley Allison. Kai Sloggett there is battling with Hamish Gallagher, and he's going to try and catch up to Josh Micklemore now.
And this is reminiscent of what we saw during practice. The guys from Mitch Motorsport all getting out and bump drafting each other, just practicing that really close racing.
That's it, and that makes a big difference. If you can get that close racing running, it really helps you out. The distance between these cars is nothing at all. As Kai Sloggett into the wall, it just makes a very, very light contact there. He doesn't lose much speed, in all honesty. He's going to drop down, and Hamish Gallagher's going to try to go around the outside. That's not going to help. It's going to be a little bit more damage to the front of that car, a little bit more damage on the aero.
It almost looked like it helped him. It bounced him off the wall and and gave him a bit more pace, but yeah, certainly not the thing.
It was a bit of a Mario Kart power-up there. Obviously, the wall power-up has helped him a little bit there. Knocked him down underneath Josh Micklemore. So Kai Sloggett's actually got down there and sitting in a good position at the moment.
3 laps to go, and they are all behaving themselves. I mean, they are nose to tail. But
There
no
is
one's
nothing between these guys.
No one's really gone and done anything silly yet.
No, they're fighting out hard though, and you can see they're all very hungry. This pack is very close together as we're on lap 99, the white flag lap, the Hybrid Racing Simulations white flag lap to go. It's looking good for Jason Martin at the moment. He's sitting out there. Kai Sloggett second. Foster's worked his way up to third place. And they're side by side as they come around the corner. Josh Micklemore losing a little bit of time. Foster's sitting there in third place. He's going to get a little bit of a run now. Not quite enough though. As they come across the line, Jason Martin's going to take this one by the looks of it. Kai Sloggett second, Foster third.
I've still got one. Oh! There's been an off on the final lap.
I was one lap ahead of myself.
Looks like Danny G might have had
Danny G into the wall as well as Lachlan. A big crash for Lachlan and Danny G there up at the front. But this is allowing Foster to get a good draft. And Foster's caught Kai Sloggett. Kai Sloggett's got around. Kai Sloggett's out of the race. Foster's in second. Kai Sloggett just got caught on the rear. That's a real shame for Sloggett having such a good race. This is going to allow Hamish Gallagher up to third place. Josh Micklemore up there in second, in fourth. Jason Martin crosses the line, takes the win. Disaster on the last lap for a fair few cars.
That was a real win it or bin it sort of last lap there.
It was indeed. It was a...
It's going to go back in the replay and see if we can go back far enough to see what happened to Danny G. And there we go. So he's actually, it looks like he's actually gone off onto the grass.
Yes.
Okay, he's had a little tag with Jason Hardigan off on the grass, and that's all that was needed.
Big moment for him. Managed to keep the car going though. That was it. But he's come up on the track and then caused havoc to a lot of cars, and that's the big thing there. He just caught the car, locked it up, and a fair few cars went into him there, and that's a real big shame. So
yeah, absolutely.
Shame for Danny G. He's going to be upset about that one. And again, big shame for Kai Sloggett as well, battling hard with Foster and got caught there. Getting taken down, he ended up finishing in 11th place. But Jason Martin's going to be happy about that one. He got that win. Excellent drive from Jason Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't take anything away from that drive. It was a brilliant drive by Jason Martin. Very gutted for Lachlan. This was probably his best drive yet. He just had nowhere to go, unfortunately, and no malice there by Danny G. He just was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, look, that's it. Unfortunately, it does happen. Wrong place, wrong time, and it's never fun when you are that person in that wrong place. It's a very frustrating feeling when you're driving, and it can be heartbreaking when it all goes wrong on those final laps, when it's all been going so well. Um, but unfortunately, these are the things that can sometimes happen when you're racing.
Absolutely. And Ed Foster coming in second there, I really didn't see that one. I had a raised eyebrow when you said you thought that he might be good for third, but second, fantastic drive from Ed Foster.
Yeah, he worked his way back up the field. It was very much damage control situation for him there, and did some great damage control just to get that car back up into the top three. In all honesty, from where he was because of that strategy call he had. But he had good pace, and pitting when he did meant he had some good pace when he came back out on track. Managed to get up there and get up there in speed and timing as well.
Absolutely. So going through the results for tonight, Jason Martin with a well-deserved first place, masterful drive, great pit strategy. Um, was in control, looked like he was in control there. It looked like it was going to be Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin, but Jason pipped Josh in the end. Ed Foster in second place, Hamish Gallagher in third, Josh Micklemore fourth, Bradley Allison fifth, Jason Hardigan in sixth, able to hang on for sixth place. Norman Clark in seventh, that's fantastic. Barry Neal eighth, Matt Hunter nine, and rounding up the top 10, Adam Rosell.
A great drive from Adam Rosell there. Really nice job. Another driver that's very new to the series, so fantastic job from him to get up there. Just to get that finishing position in some of your early races in this series is very hard. It's a very competitive field out there.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can get some of these drivers and get them in for an interview. Maybe let's start with our third place winner.
Well, we will, but we're kind of missing. We've got Hamish Gallagher. Yes, we've got Hamish Gallagher there now. So I was just waiting for people to jump in. So we'll grab down Hamish Gallagher quickly. Hello, Hamish Gallagher. Congratulations on that third place. How are you going?
Oh, hey, Carl. How's it going? Pretty good, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, that turned out to be a interesting race. A lot of different strategies involved in that one. Some split strategies as well, obviously. That early caution, a few people rolled the dice, came in a bit early, of course, and then a few people stayed out there. From your point of view on the race, how did it go?
Yeah, I was never going to pit in that first caution because we've only got 3 sets of tyres. I thought 8 laps, that's not enough. So I was quite surprised to see so many people pit. So after that, I figured, well, we just got to run long. So I was able to get a nice big draft there. So I was saving a lot of fuel. So when like Ed and stuff like that, they pitted, like I was able to stay out. So I figured, oh, this worked for me at Kansas. So I'll give it a go here. And it was going to work all right. I think I was going to probably finish about 4th or 5th into that caution. And it sort of threw everything up in the air. But still worked out for me. So I'm quite happy.
Yes, well, I mean, if you're thinking of fourth and fifth before the caution, after the caution you managed to get a third place, so it worked out very well in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the thing. We saw a few cars managing to stay out there longer when they got the draft. Of course, obviously the draft was a big help out there tonight for the fuel saving.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I just dropped to the back of that front running pack there because those guys are racing pretty intense, and this is not the type of racing I'm very good at. This kind of pack racing on these big tracks. So I just hung out, and that let me save extra fuel. And in that second run there, I was basically 90% throttle the entire run, just trying to save fuel. But I was able to run with Jason Micklemore after they'd passed me, so it was working out all right. So yeah, I went the way the other guys came past, and they were running so fast, I thought they would come around and lap me again. But no, I think I did the right strategy, so I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, it seemed to pay off for you very well there in the end, and a very well-deserved third place finish for you as well. It's been a good year so far for you, of course, in the series. You've been having some good, consistent finishes, things like that. I think you're currently sitting at about fifth or sixth in the championship before any drop rounds, of course. So, again, a good result for you as we're coming up to the chase, of course. And it very much looks like you're going to be making your way into the chase this time round, this season. So, how are you feeling about heading into the chase sort of area? What are your sort of goals and expectations for that sort of part of the series?
Yeah, I guess just run as well as I can. I'm not expecting to be in the top 4 or whatever at the end. There's a lot better drivers in the series, but our goal for the start of the year was just to try and get into the top 10. So if I can get there, I'll be happy. And then if I can just do myself well in the chase, I'll come out of it all right.
Well, a good realistic goal, and wish you all the luck for that one. Just before we let you go, Watkins Glen next, very different kind of racetrack. How are you feeling about that one?
Oh god, yeah, no, I'm not a great road racer, but as far as road racing goes, the Glen is probably up there for me. But I don't expect to be right up the front. I won't be getting third. Won't be talking to you next week, I don't think, Carl. But if I can not get lapped, I think that'll be a good run for me.
You see, you've cursed yourself now. You're going to get in the top 3 and have to talk to me next week now, I'm afraid. But best of luck next week. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, just a shout out to you guys. Like, the stream's been really good this year, so you guys have been working hard at it, obviously, and it's paying off. Like, it's great fun to watch, and give a shout out, of course, to the ANZCAR guys as well, and just the drivers in general in this series. This racing is so much fun, like, compared to official racing. It's just the best fun I've had in iRacing in years. So just everyone who competes in the series, a lot of great drivers. So just shout out to everybody.
Well, thank you very much for the compliments. We always like to hear those, and thanks so much for racing. It's always good to get some good action out on track, and you usually give us some good ones as well. So thanks so much, Hamish, and we'll catch you again probably next week, as we said.
Yeah, I don't think so, but yeah, we can try. Thanks, Carl.
Cheers, Hamish. Hamish Gallagher there, 3rd place man. So next up, we'll grab down Edward Foster for his 2nd place finish. Mr. Edward Foster, congratulations on getting up there for 2nd place.
Yeah, that's a bit of a turnaround from what it was looking like mid-race, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were talking about that, of course, because obviously we talked about that early caution and saw Jason Martin and Josh Mickelmore coming in for an early pit stop there, getting that little bit of extra fuel. So obviously you weren't going to make it to the end on one stop, and you needed that splash and dash, but you did come in relatively early and get some, just change one set of tyres, was it?
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, after that first caution came out, I think it was on around about lap 8 or something like that. We thought, just given the fact that we're on limited sets of tyres now, we really wanted to have some tyres in the bank for the end. So we stayed out, and a lot of people stayed out. But what we didn't count on was the race running as green for as long as it did. You know, we thought, you know, we might get another caution in 10, 12, 15 laps, something like that. We'd be able to come down and sort of negate that and have, fresher tyres than everybody else at that point. But it just didn't come out. So we rolled around for as long as we possibly could, just hoping for a caution. Never came. So we had to come down under green. We had to fill the tanks anyway, so that's why we took 4 tyres at that stage. Came back out and just basically gunned it from there, because we knew the other boys were going to be pitting soon. And as soon as they pitted, they were going to come out with an advantage. And the only way for us to gain a chunk of time back on them was to take 2 tyres and see how that worked out. So we did that. We gained a few seconds back on those guys, and we were sort of extending from the leaders. Danny G took 4. He came out behind, and he was catching. And then, the gap sort of stabilised. So, we were I was just kind of looking ahead. I think I had Bartlett or Brumfield, one of the 2 ahead of me. I always get 2 mixed up. Sorry, guys. I was catching one of them sort of half a second a lap, and I was sort of just trying to calculate where I was going to come at the end of the race. And, we were sort of looking at around about a 7th place if no one pitted. And then one of the lads came on the radio and said, "Oh, there's wrecks going on," and caution came out, and we all cheered a little bit. So came down, got the tyres, and that set us up for that beautiful 5-lap run to the end, which I'm sure got everyone's hearts pounding, not least of all mine. Yeah,
well, it was a chaotic last couple of laps there. Those last couple of laps, we saw a fair few incidents happening, of course. Saw you and Kai Sloggett just get a little bit of a tap into each other as well there.
It was, we coming down to the last lap. I think it was the white flag or very close to it. I forget exactly what. But I'd try to run around the outside of Kai because the outside was working really well, sort of for overtaking throughout the day. But on the fresh tyres, there just wasn't much of an advantage to have up there. So both he and Martin got a better run than me off the corner. So I've quickly switched to the bottom. And, of course, Kai's seen that and tried to come down. And unfortunately, rather than sort of come straight down across my nose, he's kind of moved a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And by the time he moved that last bit, I was already there. And if we're on lap 3, you probably roll out of the throttle. But when you're on lap 100 of 100, no, you don't. You just keep the throttle in. So I just kept my steering wheel straight, kept the throttle down. He's turned himself across my nose and continued on. So it was unfortunate for him because he was having a great run, probably the best run I've seen him have in a long, long time. And he was driving really well, but unfortunately he made the block too late, and that's what happened.
Yeah, but these mistakes and these things are very easy to. It can be very hard to judge these cars on size as well. So, one of those unfortunate racing incidents, of course. But obviously, ended up a good result for you. It's been a good couple of results for you as well. We were talking about the championship standings beforehand, and you've managed to jump up to the lead at the moment before, of course, the big reset. And then, of course, next race up, we've got Watkins Glen. How are you feeling for that one?
Look, not as confident as I am on the ovals. There's certainly a lot of guys in this particular field which are better than me on the road courses. Sorry, Watkins Glen seems to be one of my better road courses. I came away with the top 5 at Sonoma, which is probably the worst track for me of any. So I'm sort of hopeful of a similar result going into Watkins Glen. I know I may sort of have the championship lead at the moment, which is a great thing to have. But, of course, we've got 4 drop rounds to calculate in yet before the chase happens. And I'm expecting, I think it's fairly obvious that Martin and Mickelmore at least will jump me going into there. So if I can sort of take a run into the chase of around about 4th or 5th place in points, I'll be very happy. And we'll just sort of push on from there. But it's just going to be a case of taking every race as it comes from now on. I think I learned a little bit about the tyres in driving at Sonoma. I think I discovered something in the last stint there, so I'm going to try and use that at Watkins Glen and see how we go.
Well, we'll wish you best luck for Watkins, of course. And before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give to people, sponsors, and all those kind of things?
Yeah, of course. So the entire JP Simshed crew, been working really well together lately. It's a shame Josh couldn't be here tonight because he's always a valued addition. But the 4 we did have here work really well together, and we're communicating well throughout the race. So first shout outs to them. And of course, sponsors, we've got Goodyear Auto Care, Warana, Cars for Hope, Abruzzi Racewear, Track Racer, Drive Sim, VR Cover, Nationwide Tracking Systems, Dragon RC as well, which have come on board just recently. So I hope they were watching and cheering us on. They usually do. So hope you enjoyed, guys. We'll try and go one better next time.
Ed, JP here.
Hello, JP.
Hey, congratulations, mate. Just thought I'd quickly let you know, and we'll send a shout out to Aaron from Goodyear Auto Care Warana. He's been watching from the hospital bed tonight. So just want to say, hope you feel well, mate. Get better, and looking forward to seeing you in the sim soon.
Okay, well I'll dedicate this one to him then. Hope you're watching, Aaron.
Good stuff, mate.
All right, see you later, guys. Thanks.
Edward Foster there for the JP Simshed team. Another good finish for him. And now we'll grab up the race winner, of course, Mr. Jason Martin for Mitch Motorsport. Hello, Jason Martin. How are you going?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Congratulations on the win, Jason.
Oh, man, my heart was pumping for a while after that one. That was bloody close.
I can imagine, and that's win number 5 this season as well, by my calculations. So congratulations on that one. You've been having a very strong year so far. Of course, congratulations on the Truck Series as well. A very strong year for you guys, especially Mitch Motorsport. Another victory for you in the bag, obviously, and wasn't quite an easy victory tonight, was it?
Yeah, for a while there, I thought me and Josh had first, second, or third wrapped up, but then that late yellow, that changed absolutely everything.
And of course, you say they're wrapped up, and because you did gain a lot of the lead from that early stop, did you work out fuel before the race and realise that if you stopped that early in the race, obviously, that you'd have enough fuel to the end with one more stop, or was it just a bit of a we'll come in and see what happens moment?
Yeah, it was just to come in and see what happens. I never do that much practice to know how long fuel lasts, so it was just a guess that we'd have enough, and yeah, it worked out pretty good.
It did indeed. It worked out very well for you in the end, especially before that final caution came out. We saw some great racing from you guys, and obviously one thing I want to ask about is when you did come back out and you were sort of a little bit further down in the pack, didn't look that easy to overtake out there tonight.
Yeah, well, we didn't take tyres then, so that's why it was a bit harder to pass. But yeah, it's not that easy to pass. It gets a bit loose down low, so you had to time your run perfectly so it didn't get loose.
And you timed your runs well because you did work your way back up there. So just another really stunning race from you. Obviously, we're at Watkins Glen next, and self-confessed that you're not great at road circuits. How are you feeling for this one coming up?
I've been going okay lately, but yeah, I'm never confident when I go to them. But if I can get a top 10, top 5, I'll be happy with that. That's all I want on a road course.
Well, definitely, and you've definitely through the series we've noticed you improving on the road courses, which is one of those things that just makes you shake your head and go, "Oh, if Jason improves on the road courses, we have no hope at all." Sometimes, but you have been doing very well out there this season. I'd say 5 wins now for this year. Obviously, coming up to the chase, getting closer and closer with each week now. How are you feeling for that aspect? How are you feeling as you come into the chase?
Not gonna lie, not that confident. I've looked at the track and they don't really suit me that much, so it's going to be pretty tough. And I definitely don't think it's in the bag for anyone. It's going to be bloody close.
Absolutely, and there's just so much competition out there, and new faces coming up all the time, and some old ones returning, which is always good to see. But congratulations on this win tonight, Jason. Before I let you go, of course, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, got to thank the boys at Mitch Motorsports, BK Designs, ANZCAR for the wonderful series, and of course you guys at JP Simshed for the broadcast every week. It's awesome to watch.
You're always welcome, especially if you give us good races. That you tend to do. Always giving us exciting races makes it much easier to call. Thank you so much, Jason, and I'm sure we'll catch you up in the booth before too long.
Oh, thanks, mate. See ya.
Jason Martin there for the Mitch Motorsport team. Another great win for him. As I say, 5 wins now this season. He has been a force to reckon with. We've seen some great racing out there tonight, and just some really good mix of strategy as well, which is one of those things that is nice to see. Obviously, next time out we're at the Glen, so a very different track to an oval. Going to be a very different race to what we're used to here. Always is on the road courses, and these cars are not easy to drive on them either. Definitely a different beast to contend with next week, JP.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see these cars at the Glen. Lots of power. Big heavy cars. So should be some really interesting racing.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for that one. So we will see you at the Glen on the 6th of August. And of course, we do have the Truck Series has finished up this year. So we've got season 3 of the Monday Night Series coming soon. So keep an eye on the ANZCAR Facebook for that. Of course, we have the Grand National Series on every Wednesday night, which has been picked up for broadcast now on FGM eCast. So there's now broadcasts to that if you want to watch back from the last race. The recording is up there. And of course, we've got the upcoming events on JP Simshed Network, haven't we, JP?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a really interesting week coming up next week with the Club Day Masters MX5s at Phillip Island next week on Monday night. Then on Tuesday night we've got the V8, Nationwide Tracking Systems V8 Evolution Championship. Next week we're having our Super Sprint round at Phillip Island, so this one's going to be interesting. 2 10-lap sprints and then finishing off with a 15-lap reverse grid. Wednesday night we replay the split 2 of the NTS V8 Evolution Championships race, and of course every Thursday night the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. While I'm here, I may as well send a bit of love out to our sponsors: Abruzzi Racewear, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, Hybrid Racing Simulations, fantastic gear. And my dogs have just gone crazy. iLiveries, who do all the artwork for us, and of course track cams for gourmets, who give us these fantastic track cameras to work with.
Absolutely, a big thank you to all the sponsors and all their help, because it helps with the broadcast, makes things a lot easier for us to get everything running. So And of course, the biggest thank you goes out to everybody that watches, because we really appreciate you joining us. And all the newcomers, thank you so much for watching. Just one last thing on the ANZCAR front from us as well. Of course, remember the Grand National and the Monday Night Series are open for everyone. So if you're looking to make a go on the oval racing, they're fantastic to learn in. So please come and join us on those if you feel like racing on them. But for tonight, for Michigan, we'll call this one a show. So we'll see you again next time out for the Glen. Going to be a very different race. And well, have a good night all.